Hello, Peakers. Welcome back. I'm Miranda.
And I'm Mackenzie, and this is your one-stop shop for storytelling
Tea spilling.
and to keep up with all the latest book talk drama that you have been missing out on, period.
Period. We told you guys that we were having some technical difficulties in the last episode, but we have been batching our episodes. And we want to give you guys a little bit of life updates on what we've been up to, what's been going on with us. And also, side note, we are going to start transitioning to remote recording, so we should be able to give more life updates a little bit more often and be able to hang out with you guys a little bit closer to real time, I suppose. So Kenzie, if you have anything, you can go ahead and take the lead. What's your updates?
I'm probably going to get hate for this, but the Tortured Poets Department drop is my biggest life update. I've been a Swiftie through and through since I was like 8 years old, and I know it's a cult. It's cool. I'm fine with it. I'm aware, self-aware. I know what I'm getting myself into, but love the album. It was so moving for me.
What would you say your favorite song is?
That's so hard. I really, really love So Long London. Really like Down Bad. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, and probably The Black Dog are my top four. But there's like 31 songs, so I feel like top four isn't that crazy. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was up at midnight when the first 15 songs dropped or whatever. Then I went to sleep happy and woke up with a nice little surprise. Taylor always does.
That was wild. Honestly, I don't consider myself an actual Swiftie, but I do respect her and her talent and her lyrics. I think she's an entertainer through and through, and I have nothing but the utmost respect. And I think my favorite song from her album was So Long London.
That's a good one. It's just a classic. I feel like it's catchy, and it's also like it's got some feeling to it. You know, it's just I feel like she gets a lot of hate because a lot of her music has similar vibes, but also every artist has their own kind of niche that they play into, and Baby Girl is playing to her strengths, and she knows what they are. So she's an entertainer first and foremost. So gotta give her props for that. So tell me some of your life updates.
Yeah. So you guys know we have a TikTok and an Instagram account. You can follow us on TikTok at plot.peak. And same thing for our Instagram. So Kenzie is actually the one running the TikTok account over there. I'm running more of the Instagram. So if anybody's interested in having a personal conversation, if you want to reach out to either one of us, Kenzie's on the TikTok, I'm on Instagram, but we both have access to either or. And we both also, if anybody has things to say about the both of us, feel free to do that. We obviously talk every day, so we'll relay the messages. But on that note, I did want to say I was unaware how freaking supportive and abundant the community is. Ever since I started running the Instagram account, I'm overwhelmed with the amount of community that was just established in the book talk community as a whole. Like, obviously we're still growing as our account grows, but all I'm seeing throughout book talk is people supporting everybody's endeavors, like their book reads, just engaging in conversation, which is more than I ever expected out of a community. Like, I personally feel like it's been so hard for me to find a community as an adult trying to make friends. I went through a really big depression spell where I just stopped talking, stopped engaging, stopped posting, like everything. I just felt like nobody cared anymore. And then getting onto this book talk community, I'm just like, this is crazy. Complete strangers are reaching out and telling me that they love the books that we're reading or giving me suggestions of books to read, liking and supporting our page. Like, I'm just overwhelmed with the amount of support that is actually out there. Because for a while I was like, everybody just cares about themselves when nobody really wants to help anybody. Nobody really wants to be there for anybody. But Book Talk and Bookstagram has completely reawakened my social butterfly.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like I have found so many people on Book Talk, because that's mostly where I've been like working and posting, that have just been so nice and so encouraging. And I feel like we've gotten to be really nice and encouraging to other people. Like, I feel like we had certain people reach out to us and be like, I just want to help you grow, or like, I just want to help build you guys, and like together we can build each other. Like, it's been so nice to just have people just like wanting to help for nothing in return, or just like communal like vibe, just like people just wanting to get to know each other, wanting to talk books, wanting to build other people up. I completely agree. It's been so fun. Like, regardless if our podcast only has 10 listeners for its entire consideration, it like we have just grown a little community that we love.
It's really, really special, and I'm very happy and honored for the people who do listen, and we want to say a special thank you to everybody who is doing that for us. We appreciate you, and we hope that we can continue to serve the way we hope that we are serving, if that makes sense.
Yes,
okay.
It does.
So we're going to go ahead and jump back into everything. Let's go ahead and get into this story time. Where we left off last episode, the champions are getting killed by this mysterious thing, and the Kingsguard can't figure out who's killing them. They have no leads on like what's happening and who's doing this and why. Selena and Nehemiah are becoming besties, which is so cute. I love that. And there's a possible love triangle arising between Selena, Dorian, and Chaol.
We love a love triangle.
We love a love triangle trope. And also, side note that I don't know if it's going to be an important detail, but Selena also found that secret tunnel that had the secret tombs of Elena and Gavin and the secret escape route. And also where we left off, Selena had gotten a magical necklace from Elena and was warned that she needs to become the champion because there's evil lurking in the castle. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. And then so we're going to pick up after she wakes up and realizes the dream that she had with Elena was not a dream. She actually was there. She got the necklace. Whatever happened was kind of a real thing. So that's kind of spooky. But the next day comes around and Selena's getting ready to go meet up with Nehemiah. And when she's going over there, she sees, guess what? Another dead champion. But she actually Selena sees the dead champion. And when she looks at them, she sees that there's like word markings, the same markings that are found in the garden, but they're scribed in the champion's blood and then like kind of smeared. So that's kind of sus and spooky. And Nehemiah has been living in the castle. So she hears about the commotion that's going on. She's like, you need to spill the tea. What's happening? What do you know? Tell me everything. So Selena's like, gosh, I don't know if you're ready for this. Like, it's pretty graphic. It's pretty serious. So Nehemiah is like, I know that there's something going around here in the castle. Like, obviously people are dying and nobody knows why. So what's going on? I want you to tell me because you're here too. And I know that you know more than what you're letting on. So Selena's like, okay, here's the tea. People are showing up dead. I've been seeing these word markings that you told me not to think about wrapped around these people. So something's correlating with these things, and I don't know what's going on. And she's in the middle of like telling the story and about the body that she had just saw walking on to meet Nehemiah. And that's when Cain and his minions start to waltz on up to rustle her feathers a little bit. You know Cain, he's just an asshole.
He really is.
He's here with his minion. I think it's Vernon or something like that. Vernon's with him at this time. And he's like, hey, what's going on? What's happening? And like just belittling her, being a little asshole. And Selena's like in the back of her mind, she's like, maybe it's just me, but I feel like Cain is getting bigger. There's something going on with him. Like maybe it's just my head. Like, I don't know. There's something different though. He's getting bigger. And for some reason, he's also like getting stronger, faster. Like maybe it's just in my head. Maybe he's just actually a good competitor. And then he's like getting close to her and he's like pushing her buttons and she's like, I will kill you if you try me. And then he's like, are you Selena? And she's like, oh shit. Because everybody thinks she's Lillian. So the fact that he came up and he was like, Selena Sardothian is tea, because how did he find that out? And second, now what does that mean for her? Is she supposed to continue on this ruse that she is just a little jewel thief? Or is she allowed to like uncover and unleash her full Selena Sardothian self?
Because she should.
Yeah, because to me, I would be like, well, fuck it. If my cover was blown, I'm just going to go ahead and go all out because there's no point in hiding, especially if the biggest person in the competition knows who you are. I'm just at that point, I'm like, I'm going to give them something to worry about then if you know who I am.
Yeah, might as well. The only reason she was worried about not telling who she was the anonymity of her like notoriety and all of that. But if they already know, then show them. Show them why you're notorious.
Mm-hmm. So that's tea there in itself, just because now her identity is known. But we move on. There's more competition, so on and so forth. Selena does show out a little bit, but it's nothing like crazy and groundbreaking or anything. She's still trying to keep it low key. She still doesn't want to give too much attention, but she does know Kane knows who she is, and she's just going to keep that in her mind. Another holiday is coming up, and there's a holiday ball that comes with it. And Kale actually comes up to Selena's room, and it seems like Kale has something that he wants to talk to her about. He seems really aloof and kind of just rambling and talking to her about the ball. And she's like, is he trying to ask me out right now? Like, what's happening? What's going
Because
on?
that would be tea.
But at this time, yeah, I know, especially because it's like Kale is so serious and like so like, you got to stay over here. You can't cross boundaries, this, that, and the other. But it seems like he's like, yeah, so, there's this ball coming up, and I know you're not doing anything, and maybe, like, if you like to dance. Like, he's just, like, bouncing around the asking part. And Selena, unfortunately, is going through it. She does not feel herself at this point. She's kind of sick. She's got some cramping going on. She's got some bloating and nausea. Yes. Her period has come back. Ever since she's left the slave camp and she has been able to eat again, she's gained her weight back. Her normal womanly cycles have returned. #blessed. Am I right?
Tragic.
So Kayla is sitting here in her room, aloof to everything that's going on with her. Selena's like, like trying so hard to follow the conversation, and she can't. She ends up vomiting all over his foot, actually. She's like, in the middle of him talking.
What can you do?
I feel very blessed to say that I have had minimal PMS symptoms throughout my life. So I feel very blessed with that.
#blessed.
Thank you.
Bless up.
Whoever's listening. But yeah, I feel so bad for her. That's really embarrassing. She just throwed up all over his shoes. And he's like, what's going on? What happened? And she's like, I'm on my period. And he's like, oh, period. Awkward. And he does a little man side shuffle. And he's like, I'm going to skedaddle out of here.
He's like, well, I will
and then he
leave
leaves.
it to you. I don't want any part of this. Good luck. God bless. Be blessed.
Yeah. So he leaves, and then a little bit later, Dorian shows up, and he's like trying to check in on Selena, but he's also trying to make fun of Kale and how he handled that whole situation, because Kale told him what happened. It sounds funnier than it probably was. Like, yeah, she just threw up all over my feet because her period is back. So Dorian is coming back up, and he's like, Kale just can't handle a woman the way I can. It's giving Damon and Stefan vibes.
Oh, I love that comparison. That's kind of true.
Yeah, I feel like Dorian is giving Damon, obviously, because he's way more flirtatious, way more like risky with his behavior. And Kale is very much like, I got to protect, and I'm trying so hard to do the right thing. And like, obviously, I like her kind of, but I'm not going to let that show. I'm going to let her do her thing. But Dorian is like, okay, well, I'll make my moves.
He said, why not?
Yeah, but I do like that. I think that it's a fun contrast with the two of them. It feels like, because that's the kind of love triangle that I like, where it's like you can see both sides to the boys and like why you would want one or the other. So it's a good triangle, I'd say. It's a good contrast of that relationship.
Honestly, my advice to Selena would be, why choose?
Tea. That is tea. Why don't you be a little...
Period.
What is it? What's her name? Catherine. Why don't you be a little Catherine and use them both?
I would love that. I could kind of see Selena as a little Catherine-esque, very manipulative. Like, she knows when to play her role, she knows when to play her part, and she will get shit done.
Yeah, and I feel like she's also just that kind of girl that just entrances so many men. So everybody that she meets just grows to love her despite not wanting to love her. And I feel like she's the perfect person to be able to play that role, where she's like, I'm going to take advantage of this situation. And like, honestly, yeah, if you have the ability to play in your strengths like T Swift, do it.
Know what you're good at and keep doing it. So, moving on from that, at some point, Dorian is actually raising some little hounds. He oversees like raising some of the dogs and training them. And there's one dog that just had a litter of puppies. He had really been hoping that they were purebred because this dog, she's a little scandalous. She's known for getting out of the back of the coop and making a little run around town. So he's hoping that these puppies were purebred. They were born not purebred. However, Dorian's like, we're going to try to raise them. We're just going to try to raise them, get them really trained, and then sell them off to highest bidder, good family type sort. But there's this one puppy that is just super scared of people, very timid, kind of like the little runt of the group. And one day, Nehemiah and Selena are walking through where all the dogs are kept and some of the animals. And Dorian's showing them his puppies. And she's like, oh, these are so cute. She sees that little one that's very like shy and timid, kind of withdrawn. And he's like, yeah, that one just won't bond with humans. We can't get him to train. So it's probably going to have to be put to sleep. And she is outraged. She is appalled. She's like, no, you are not. And she goes over and she picks up the little puppy and he's just kind of sitting there, kind of precious, but docile, calm in her arms. And she's like, you will not. You have to promise me you won't. And Nehemiah's kind of looking between them like,
she's like,
what's going on? This is a little hostile, kind of funny, but like there's something going on. And he's like, you know what? Pinky promise you, I will make sure she gets to a good home. I will not put her down. He was like, I will find somewhere for her to go. And she's like, basically, Pinky promise. And he's like, essentially Pinky promise. It was a little more eloquent, but basically it was the essence of a very strongly worded Pinky promise.
A strongly worded Pinky promise.
Strongly meaning Pinky promise. And he agreed.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, don't you kill it or I'll come for you, basically.
But she does end up getting the puppy at some point, right? How does she end up acquiring the puppy?
Yeah.
I forget.
So it was like a couple days later or something. Dorian was like, I basically got you a present. And she was like, present for me, for moi? And he's like, yeah. And he brings her that sweet little puppy. And he's like, I've decided that I think you would do really well. Some people are really good with dogs. Some people have that about them. And she really kind of took to you. And Selena's like, I want this dog. I love this dog. And she was like, but I want it trained. She was like, I want it trained. I don't want him peeing all over my carpet, all over my dresses. She was like, I love my shoes. So she was like, I will take this dog, but you have to continue training him. And he was like, aye, Captain. Sure thing. You're welcome for the dog. But she was like,
thing.
ooh, I love it. And she was like, I've got to think of a name. But she hadn't figured out a name yet.
So she is actually, though, after a little bit, she ends up having the dog with her, and she's hanging out with her in the room with her, spending the night with her, just doing all the things. And one night she's done something to where she has to look under the bed because of the dog. She looks under the bed, and she notices there's a ton of word marks all underneath her bed. And she's like, I'm so sorry.
But what the actual fuck? I beg your finest pardon. What?
She's like, I'm pretty sure these are like the calling things to get the champions killed. And there's like a whole mass of them under my bed. So that's spooky. She gets like a bucket of water. She moves her bed. She washes it away. And she's like, this is terrifying. I need to literally figure out what's going on with these word markings. I don't care what Nehemiah said. I have to figure out what these mean. Like, I'm not going to just sleep with a bunch of these things hiding underneath my bed.
Hell no.
So she's running. She's like, I got to go to the library. I need to figure out something. I need to learn about these things. She is running to the library, and then she runs into Princess Nehemiah in the library, like in the middle of the night. This is not just like a casual afternoon. This is in the middle of the night. She runs into Nehemiah. She's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? That's so crazy. And Nehemiah like slams the book shut that she's reading. And Selena looks at it and she's like, wait a minute, that book is in the common tongue that she can't speak. And it's a huge book.
And it's like very far advanced too. It's not just like a little kid's book. Like she's teaching her how to read as well. But like this book, she notes, she's like, this would be a challenging book for me to read the entire thing. There's no way Nehemiah should be able to read this.
Yeah. So she's like, what are you doing here? You can't read that, can you? And Nehemiah gets up and she's like, if you actually believe that I couldn't read that, without an accent, by the way, like she's completely dropped the accent. She's talking in a perfect tongue. She's like, if you believe that I couldn't read that, you're just as ignorant as the rest of them. And she leaves.
First of all, I'd be like, who do you think you're talking to, man? That is so rude. Second, that is very off-putting for her like new friend. It seems like she's like very hiding things from her. And also like even if she wasn't reading the book, like why be so secretive? Like what's your motive here? What's your game?
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, she literally was running there for her own reasons and ran into Nehemiah. It wasn't like she was stalking her or sneaking up on her or anything. She accidentally ran into Nehemiah and she was like, wait, why are you reading that? Can you read that? Like very innocently is how I pictured it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that whole encounter, I was like, Nehemiah's hiding something. Something's going on. And Selena thinks the same thing because as Nehemiah left, she drops a little piece of paper with word markings on it. And, you know, obviously we've been seeing the word markings in the dead champions underneath her bed in the gardens. Nehemiah's telling her not to worry about these word markings. So now Selena's like, I've been stabbed in the back so many times. Is Nehemiah the person who's killing everybody? Is she doing this because there's been like a sudden attack on the rebels of Elway because Dorian had been trying to hold back this attack that Duke Parrington was trying to do. Duke Parrington was like, Princess Nehemiah is here. We need to take advantage of the fact that she's here and overthrow the rebels in Elway. And Dorian had been trying to hold off. He's like, please just wait till my dad's back so you can talk about this. Like, we can't hold her hostage and then take advantage of the situation that completely contradicts why she's here to like learn and grow with us. And so the fact that that ended up happening, they sent armies to the rebels. They killed 500 rebels. That gives motive for Nehemiah to want to be killing people. But why is she killing the champions and not the royal court is what Selena is thinking. And then she remembers there's a big ball coming up for a second holiday, the ball that Chaol seemed like he might have been asking Selena to go to. And she's like, that would be the perfect time if she is trying to attack the court to get everybody because all of the royals, all of the biggest people of the court are going to be there. Dorian, Chaol, the dukes, everybody who's anybody besides the king because he's off on his little mission is going to be there. And she could quite literally wipe everybody out if she is the one who's controlling these murders.
It's going to be like the You'll Miss Ball. It's kind of like Christmas themed holiday. So everybody's going to be in their beautiful costumes. Everybody's going to be distracted. There's going to be wine flowing. And she's thinking, if this is really the person, this is the perfect time to take a bunch of people out, which is horrifying because also now that we know Chaol is going to be there and Dorian are going to be there. And those are two people that she is developing relationships with, not necessarily like always romantic, but she has at the very least deep friendship with them. And she's like, I don't give an F about anybody else in the castle, but those two people I would protect.
Yeah. So essentially after having all of these thoughts coming in, because she's not invited to anything, she's like, I'm not going to just sit in here and let this potential threat come in and kill everybody else that I'm growing my attachments to. I need to make sure that they're at least safe. I need to be there just for my peace of mind. She gets her little handmaid to help her out with tricking the guards to letting her out, saying that they called for her to be out there. And so Selena has this beautiful gown on. She's got this gorgeous little masquerade mask on, hoping that nobody will recognize who she is. Doubt it. And so she's like, all right, I'm going to just go ahead and pretend like I'm going down there. They want me there. And she gets down there and sees Nehemiah. She's in the crowd, obviously, but Nehemiah doesn't look like she's up to anything. She's just kind of sitting there, just kind of hanging out. And the first person that sees her as she enters the ball is Dorian and Chaol. They both see her and they're like, what are you doing here?
Especially Chaol. Chaol is like our stressed mother hen being like, oh God, it's happening. She's here. She's broken the rules. He just gets real flustered.
He does. And so he's like, I don't know what to do here. She's like, do you want to dance with me? And he's like, no, you shouldn't be here. And then Dorian, he's like, I'll take this opportunity. I'll dance with you. And Dorian actually ends up dancing with Selena quite a long time. Nehemiah ends up leaving in the beginning of the ball. So Selena's like, well, at this point, I might as well just enjoy it while I'm here. So she continues on with her dance with Dorian. But during that dance, it's not unnoticed. Dorian's obviously the prince. Everybody wants Dorian, so everybody's watching this happen. And I feel like it's a big sign saying that he's dancing with Celaena more than just one dance. Because usually he's bouncing around to multiple different ladies and just trying to entertain the mass. He dances with Celaena for most of the night.
And it's kind of almost like it's almost considered rude for the prince not to, especially the very eligible prince, not to dance with other women. It's more taken as like a sign of, I'm very interested, which, like you said, does not go unnoticed.
No, it doesn't. And you know who it is that does not miss this?
Who?
Lady Caltaine.
Of course she doesn't.
She's like, this can't be, and this is not gonna slide. And so she casually brings up to Duke Parrington, because she's there with Duke Parrington. She's like, this is just so sad because obviously Dorian can't be with Lady Lillian. She's not a royal. She's got no high standings. Like, this can't be. Why are we allowing this? Aww. And Duke Parrington is like, do you want to know some real tea? I'll tell you something. She is not who she says she is. She's actually Celaena Sardothien. She's an assassin. And I've told the king what you told me about them being in love. And he told us that we can do whatever we need to put an end to this relationship. So they agree that come the end of the competition that's going on, they're going to sabotage Celaena's final duel, essentially. And obviously they're not going to try to kill her. They're going to weaken her enough so that way Cain can kill her. I think that's tea right there that Duke Parrington was like, here, I'm just going to tell you everything right now.
Well, and we've skipped over a lot. The competition basically is going to be very soon after the end of this Yulmus ball. So this isn't like far planning in the future. This is like, it's coming. It's going to happen.
It's coming up
very soon. Yeah.
And I think that's the end of this section that we were going to be talking about. So that was a really quick run through, but we do still have some more talking points. And my biggest one that I want to talk about is how scared I am for Celaena to have another fake friend. I don't want Nehemiah to be a fake friend. I liked who she was. I like how strong she seems to be. I do not want her to be the bad guy. I'm going to be so upset.
I know. When I was reading this for the first time too, it really stressed me out so much. I was like, I know Celaena can take a lot, but another betrayal. She's already at this point where she's very ruthless. She's very hot-headed. She's very self-serving now to the point where she's had to be. The world has made her like that. For another betrayal, I feel like it could really make her lose trust in like everyone, like really
break
affect her to be able to continue and ever have any kind of meaningful relationships.
Yeah, I just feel so bad for her. I don't know what she's feeling or what she's going through, but I do feel bad for her, that's for sure. And there was another part too. So obviously more champions are getting killed throughout this process. Like we said, there was one champion that got killed that Chaol actually let Celaena come in to view the body in the crime scene. And from this crime scene, they saw claw marks and they saw where the body was far away from the claw marks. And Celaena basically concluded that whatever creature it was that was killing these people took their time to do it. They enjoyed the fear that was growing from the victim. They prepped to get ready to kill the victim, and they took their time. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of scary too, that they have something so methodical in the killing and they don't know where it came from. They don't know who or what it is. That's scary.
Right. And the body was so brutalized and so like horrifically mangled that it would be shocking if a human was be able to pull it off. Like they said, it looks like an animal attack, but it's a little too ritualistic and organized and methodical for it to be an animal. So even if, let's say, Nehemiah is hiding something, who and how would she be killing these people? Or if it's Cain, which is another, kind of mysteriously dark feature, or Duke Parrington or the king or anybody, who and how are they killing these bodies and making them so mangled and destroyed? Like, and what are their motives for killing them?
So I want to give my little prediction that I have before we move on to the next episode, just so we can see where I'm at. Yeah, because I'm going to try to start giving my little predictions between episodes to see how things are going to go and see how things develop. I feel like in my gut, Nehemiah is not the bad guy. I think that she's hiding something. I can't tell what it is. but I don't feel like she's the bad guy. I feel like her and Selena just have such a bond and connection that it's got to stay. If she is the bad guy, I'm going to have trust issues.
Yeah.
So I think that Nehemiah is hiding something. I don't know what. Kane, with the topic of him being bigger, stronger, faster, that's sus. And I feel like Kane has got something to do with it. And also, we haven't mentioned it before, but Kane is wearing this black ring. And I think Kale has noticed Duke Parrington wearing the same black ring. And Dorian knows that his dad has a black ring. I feel like these things are all connected for some reason. And I don't know what it is, but I feel like Kane is somehow attached to these murders. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah. He also has motive, like for him to win the competition. Like, what would Nehemiah's motive be in killing the champions? She doesn't have an apparent one, but Kane has every reason in the world to want the rest of the champions dead.
Right. And that's why I was thinking, too, that she couldn't be it. Because I was like, it seems so random for her to want to attack the champions. She seems so gung-ho on her people that it would seem not in character for her to want to be killing these champions who are there against their will. So, yeah, I definitely agree. I think Kane is more of a suspect at this point.
If anything, I feel like Nehemiah would be taking down the royals, like Selena said. What better motive could she have than killing some of the people that are causing all this distress in her lands? But you never know.
Guess we'll never know until the next episode, Peekers.
Ooh.
Okay, guys, so that was the end of this week's Peek on That Plot. Next episode, we are going to be covering chapters 41 to the end.
Ooh. Well, we hope you enjoyed the plot, and we'll peek you again next week.